My name is Sophia, and at 49, I've realized that life doesn't often give you a second chance to change your story, especially when you're married to a man who seems fine just drifting through each day like he's not even real living it. I live in a small town in Ohio with my husband Daniel, who even though claims to work hard as an engineer spends most of his evenings sitting in his recliner barely lifting a finger. His indifference has always hurt me, quietly minding me that while I keep our home running and stick to my workout routines, lost in his own boring routine. One cold Thursday evening, things finally boiled over. We had another argument, this time over something small like forgetting to pay the electric bill. It turned into a long list of complaints. I couldn't hold back my frustration anymore and told him that this lack of presence and passion made me feel invisible. Daniel didn't say a word, just stormed out, leaving me standing at the door feeling a mix of anger and relief. Later, I found out that he had gone to stay with a friend for a few days. It was just his usual way of avoiding real conflict with Daniel. Gonia's strange sense of freedom washed over. I finally had room to breathe and remember who I was before marriage had made me feel so distant from myself. Instead of staying sad, I decided to treat myself. I put on my favorite jeans, a blouse that made me feel good about myself, and went to a local bar. I had passed by many times, but never entered. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, but I knew I needed something different, a taste of excitement that had been missing from my life. The bar that night was full of life. The sound of chatter, clinking glasses, and soft music filled the air, creating a relaxed yet lively mood. I ordered a glass of white wine and let my mind wander. Before long, I noticed it a young man with a presence that washered to ignore. His name was Lucas, and Hugh worked as a fitness coach at a gym nearby. With his dark bronze skin and muscles built from hard work, Lucas gave off an energy of strength and confidence. Every movement he made showed his dedication, and his presence made my heart flutter in ways I hadn't felt in years. I watched him laugh with his friends, drawing them in with his charming smile. Was warm and everything up them. From his strong jawline to the way he moved, spoke of vitality and passion. It was like he had everything missing in me. Life, energy, desire, and the drive, totally fully. I found myself inching closer to the bar, starting a conversation with bartender about local sports and fitness trends while sneaking glances at Lucas as the night went on and the wine worked its magic. I found the courage to approach him. I introduced myself with a playful smile and joked about how lucky Jim was to have such a handsome coach. Lucas responded with a warm laugh, and a compliment that made me blush, even though I had learned long ago to hide my emotions behind a witty mask. We talked about everything: our favorite workouts, life in Ohio, and how tired I had become with the empty promises at home. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and a shared love for living life to the fullest. There was something in his eyes, a spark that hinted at something more, something forbidden, beauty incredibly tempting. In that moment, I realized that the absence of my husband had created space for passion I thought was gone forever. Lucas's presence signified something inside me, reminding me of the woman I once was, a woman who knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to go after it. By the time I left the bar that night, I felt an exciting mix of emotions, buzzing with energy and anticipation. I had caught a glimpse of a life that was brighter and more daring. I knew deep down I wasn't going to settle for a passionless life. That night, something new and thrilling had begun. As I walked home under the cool night sky, I couldn't help but smile, wondering what the future might bring. Little did I know that meeting Lucas would be the start of a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about love, loyalty, and happiness. In the days that followed, I found myself going back to the gym, not just for my regular workout, but to find an excuse to see Lucas again. I had always kept fit, but now every stretch, every set off weights felt exciting in a new way. It made sure to choose classes where Lucas was teaching or supervising, hoping our paths would cross. My heart raced every time I watched him coach a group session, his strong voice. His dark-toned skin shining under the gym lightened the way his muscles moved with confidence. It was hard not to be drawn to him one morning after a spin class stayed by the water fountain casual affixing. My damp hair, there he was, wiping sweat from his brow with a towel. His broad shoulders and sculpted arms were on full display. I smiled at him, warmly letting my tone suggest more than just a friendly "Hello, good job today, Lucas," I said. His brown eyes met mine with aspark that made me feel seen. Truly seen in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. Hesmelled back a soft and appreciative grin, sent a shiver of excitement through him. Soon our small talks became part of my daily routine. I timed my gym visit so that our paths would cross more often on day. While I was on the elliptical, I saw Lucas in the mirror behind me, our eyes locked for a moment, and the intensity of his gaze made it hard to focus on my workout. I could feel his attention, and it was electric. I pushed myself harder, not just to get fitter but to capture his focus. Every rep, every stride felt more urgent, like I needed to prove my presence when I wasn't at the gym. I found excuses to be near him in other places. One afternoon, I visited Thelico Cafe, where Lucas sometimes went. On his break, I ordered my usual vanilla latte with a sprinkle of cinnamon and sat where I could watch him without being obvious he was chatting with the barista. Laughing and looking relaxed, his self-confidence was clear, and it made mesmel. He was everything I had been craving: passion, vitality, the things he thought I had lost with Daniel while Daniel was at work, stuck in his usual Dell routine. I began planning ways to see Lucas more often. Sometimes I'd cook dinner and call it meal prep for my next workout, all the while waiting for a text or casual message from him exchanged Asif. We were talking about fitness tips or progress one evening. I'll never forget he left the house early, telling Daniel I was going to a late workout class but instead. I parked in the gym lot, my heart racing as I waited for Lucas's shift toned as the sky began to darken. Heffenly walked out of the building. His silhouette stood out strong and graceful, his muscles defined in the fading light, shared a few light, playful words about the day's workout and the weather, but beneath that casual conversation, I could feel something growing between. Yusha's touch was brief but charged when he took my hand, and as he walked away, I stayed there for a moment, watching him until he was out of sight. The excitement of that encounter left me eager for more later that night at home. Daniel, waist-tired as usual, mumbling something about work. But I couldn't stop thinking about Lucas' confident walk, his warm smiley. Skipped my usual chores, feeling a sense of urgency that made me forget about cleaning or preparing dinner instead. I sat quietly by the window, holding a glass of red wine, replaying the very moment with Lucas in my mind, the sound of my heartbeat, the peaceful neighborhood around me, and the thought of seeing him again filled me with bold determination. For the first time in years, I felt truly alive. A small rebellious thought began to grow in the back of my mind, whispering, what if this is just the start? The idea of something so pure and necessary pushed me to plan a more intimate meeting. The next time I saw Lucas, I wouldn't just settle for a quick hello or smile. I'd ask him for a real conversation, one that could bring us closer. As I drifted off to sleep that night, my mind was full of possibilities. Dreamed of secret glances in the gym car room, shared laughter over as smoothie and gentle touches that spoke of something unspoken. I knew this road was risky, that pursuing this connection could lead to problems. But thrill of it, the excitement of something forbidden, made my heart race. I felt like I was on the edge of a transformation. A journey toward passionate intimacy that could reignite a sparky thought was gone each day. The thought of Lucas grew stronger, pulling me to Printo, a world where every moment held the possibility of both excitement and change. Over the next few days, the energy between Lucas and me grew even stronger. Every morning, I woke up feeling more aware of everything around me. My heart raced whenever I saw his name pop up on my phone or noticed his profile on my social media. The excitement of our next secret Meeting was something I began to look forward to more and more. I started planning my days around our secret meetings, weaving them into my routine so that even the smallest tasks seemed filled with a sense of excitement. One afternoon after finishing my yoga session, I got a text from Lucas that made my heart skip a beat. It was simply "see you later" with a winking emoji. Is mild feeling his charm become a secret rhythm in my day? I texted back agreeing to meet him at a quiet cafe near the gym place. Only a few people knew about when we met. It felt different from before. There was an urgency in his eyes, a spark of an anticipation that promised something more than our usual brief meetings at the gym or casual chats. We sat in a quiet corner of the cafe, away from the regular customers. Lucas's skin glowed in the soft lightened, his muscular body visible beneath us. His tight athletic wear radiated a confidence I had long desired. He listened closely as I talked about my day, about my frustration with Daniel's constant absence and how our life at Togder had become dull. I didn't hold back, not even a little. I described how empty it felt when Daniel would come home, barely saying anything, and offer injects as my voice was calm, but carried aqueo anger, a rebellion against years off neglect. Lucas's response was simple but powerful. He leaned in, his warm breath brushing against my ear as he whispered thought. He understood the longing I felt, that he had seen the spark fade from Maya's and wanted to bring it back in thought. Meant the usual surroundings of the cave faded away. His strong closet hand brushed against mine as if silent lizuling a PCT. I felt a wave of desire, a promise that tonight might finally bring passion I had been missing for so long. That evening, with Daniel still away at a friend's place, I found a reason to leave the house. I dressed in an outfit it made me feel good, something that accentuated my femininity, and headed to a small upscale hotel on the outskirts of town. It was a neutral place where we could meet without fear of being seen or judged. The room we picked was simple and elegant, with dim lighting and soft music. Created a private atmosphere here, away from the expectations of being a dutiful wife. I let myself give in to my own desires. Lucas didn't waste any time. Stepped toward me, his gaze internusing, making my heart race. Every part of him muscles in his arms. The shape of his chest, the strong line of his jaw spoke directly to the woman I had become, a woman who no longer wanted a life without passion. He closed the distance between us, and slowly, with deliberate movements, our conversation turned into something physical. I remember his hand in my waist, pulling me closer, the warmth of his skin against mine, and how his touch sparked a fire I had long thought was gone. It wasn't just the physical desire. It was the emotional release of finally letting go. After years of suppressing my feelings, the encounter was both tender and intense. There was a flow to our movements, a rhythm built from months of longing. We moved together, sharing whispered words and soft breaths, each moment building on the last. It was raw and real, with no room for hesitation or regret. There was only the present and the undenied able passion between us. As night went on, the echoes of our connection stayed with me. I lay there wrapped in a feeling of deep satisfaction for the first time in years, feeling truly seen and desired, an experience so different from the routine inference I felt at home with Daniela's. Dawn approached. I realized I was at a crossroads. The thrill of this affair wasn't just a temporary escape, it was an awakening, a bold step toward a life where my own desires could finally take center stage. The memory of that night stayed with me, fueling a curiosity about what the future might hold. I knew that each encounter with Lucas would deepen the connection between us, pushing me further along a path that promised both pleasure and consequences. Every day became a delicate balancing act. I managed my responsibilities at home while secretly nurturing this new passion. The excitement of Lucas's touch, our whisper in secrets, and the promise of our next meeting created a tension that lingered beneath everything I did. It turned each moment into a prelude to what was yet to come. Then came that fateful night, filled with so much tension it seemed to fill the air after our passionate Encounter at the hotel, I lay in the cool sheets with Lucas, his strong arms still holding tightly, as if he didn't want to let go the passion of our secret. Meaning lingered in every part of me, an intoxicating blend of desire and freedom that had shattered the long monotony off me life with Daniel. I enjoyed every whispered word and every lingering touch, knowing deep down that this was Marathon. It's just a physical escape. It was a declaration of the woman I had been hiding behind years of duty and neglect. Hours passed filled with soft sounds our shared contentment, until a sudden noise broke the momenti. Froze when I heard the unmistakable sound of a key turning in the lock. My heart skipped a beat and a cold shiver ran down my spine in that moment. Every instinct told me that the world I had carefully built was about to fall. Lucas tensed beside me, his dark, icy arcing mind in silent alarm. I pulled the blanket tighter around us, trying to listen for any more signs of intrusion. The door creaked open and I saw a man's silhouette in the hallway. My pulse recitic was Daniel. He stepped into the room slowly, his expression, unreadable high sighs, gave nothing away. But I knew there must have been a storm inside him. I had brushed off his indifference for so long, but now, as he stood there with an expression of bitter resignation, all heart I'd been holding inside rose up, there was a strange satisfaction in seeing him silent. It was a confirmation that the void he had left was now filled with something far more alive than honest neglect ever could be. He took in Thesson. Lucas still glowing in the bedside light, and me caught between the rush of affection and the shock of reality for Amamont. His eyes showed a mix of hurt and danger, but he said nothing. Instead, he turned and left the room slowly, his footsteps echoing in the silence. The room felt heavy, charged with raw desire and the weight of consequences. Lucas reached for my hand, his touch gentle and concerned. In that simple gesture I felt a wave of affirmation. I saw in his eyes the same fierce passion and tenderness had drawn me to him from the beginning. There was no blame in his gazino anger, only the honest truth of our connection. As time stretched on, the adrenaline faded, and I sat up on the bed, my heart still racing. I allowed myself a moment to think. I remembered all the times Daniel's indifference had made me feel invisibly constant. Reminder of being ignored. Hysolent's exit was both a punishment and a release. It showed me something I had known for a while. I was worth more than a life filled with empty promises and cold routines. I had tasted real passion and I wasn't going back with a steadying breath. I turned to Lucas, whose gaze was filled with both reassurance and long in his eyes. I saw a future uncertain but full of possibility, realized that our affair was not just a brief fling. It was the spark that had ignited a part of me I had thought was gone. I wanted more than just these stolen moments. I wanted a life where my desires and needs were recognized and fulfilled. The next morning, I woke to the soft light of dawn filtering through Thekatanis. Lucas was still asleep beside me, his strong form a comforting presence. I lay there for a while thinking. A booth event of the night before. I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Daniel would eventually find out, and the consequence would be harsh. But as I gently pressed a bay hand against Lucas's arm, I felt no regret, only a deep resolve to reclaim life I had lost. In the days that followed, I began to redefine my life. I found every chanchetto see Lucas again, meeting him discreetly at the gym or in quiet bars where we could talk without interruption. I carried myself with new confidence, a spark of rebellion against mundane, a reminder of my own worth. Daniel's absence became less of a gape and more of a reminder of the empty ash had left a sharp contrast to Thevo brand. Passionate connection I was building. I share my story not to Chamignon, but to remind every woman who has ever felt ignored or unfulfilled that life is too short to settle for anything less than what makes you truly alive. It's a call to reclaim your desires, to dari, to love, and to celebrate the undeniable passion that fuels you. In my journey, I found not just forbidden pleasure, but also a liberation that transformed every part of my life's thought. Future may be uncertain, I choose to embrace it with the fierce unapologetics that now defines me.